Time for our college basketball around the hardwood, and I did say we had a full weekend of games in basketball, not just the pros, but in college as well. Starting off with the men's, ladies and gentlemen. Nate Oaks on Brandon Miller's pat down, not appropriate. This is a pre-game introduction routine that Brandon Miller has done since he has been with the Alabama Crimson Tide, but nevertheless, the whole thing centering around him and the death of a young lady at the hands of ex-teammate Darius Smiles is something that was, you can call tone deaf, because optics plays a part in imaging. Optics play a part in reality. A death of a 23-year-old young woman, Miss Harris, at the hands of former teammate Darius Miles, is centering around Darius Miller because he drove the car that ultimately delivered the gun to Mr. Miles. That ended up in killing this young lady. Now he's been acquitted, saying he had no idea that it was going to end in this type of fashion. He did not know where the gun was provided. He did not know where the gun was at. It was sitting behind some clothes in the back seat. Only thing that Brandon Miles did was drop the car to his friend. Nevertheless, there are circulations going around saying, should he be playing at this moment in time? You can say whatever your opinion is, but Nate Oaks, the AD, the president of Alabama, they agree that he's not being charged. He's not being acquitted, or what? He's not being charged. He's been acquitted. He's been with innocence and all this, so he deserves to play. That's their choice, and that's their right to make that choice. Unfortunately, Nate Oaks said, I quote, I don't watch our introductions. I'm not involved with them. I'm drawing up plays during that time. Regardless, it's not appropriate. It has been addressed, and I can assure you it definitely will not happen again for the remainder of the year. And as I said, this is his normal pre-game introduction routine for Brandon Miller, who does the pat down by a walk-on before heading to the midcourt. But looking at the situation that took place, it might be the right call for Nate Oaks to say, we can't do that again. I know there's a routine that you don't like to do, but we got to come up with something else. Because the optics of it has people referring to a young lady at the age of 23 being gone at the hands of your former teammate and your friend. That's what the optics are showing. That's what the visual of people getting when you have a walk-on pat you down during pre-game introduction before you take the midcourt. Brandon Miller, I want you to understand, and you have been playing terrific since all this has been getting again. You have been balling your tail off, sir. I'm gonna give you the props where they are due. You are playing your butt off since all this has taken place. But you're a young man, and as a young man, I would like to advise you to pay attention to what you're doing and making sure that no matter what, you let your play speak for you. It don't give people reason to look at you in a different manner. Okay. Moving on. Temple Flare at the end of 16 ranked Xavier en route of Seton Hall. Now, when I read through this, nothing much really took place, ladies and gentlemen. Xavier got a much needed victory over Seton Hall Friday night, but it had an ugly ending because both teams came together around the scores table after the Musketeers guard Shirley Baum and Seton Hall freshman guard Jaquan Sanders started drawing. What this all started because Mr. Baum took a three-pointer with 22 seconds left when the Xavier was already up 82-57. There are 30 seconds and a shot clock. It is 22 seconds remaining in the game. Why is you shooting a three when you're up 25? When you're up 25. Senior Hall coach Shaheen Holloway was not happy with it. Raised his hand and did not acknowledge to shake hands with Xavier coach Sean Miller after the game. If you're up 25, you don't take no damn three. I hope Sean Miller got in your face and let you know that you don't do that. We are up 25. The game's well in that. They are not coming back. Why is you shooting that goddamn three? You take the shot clock violation if there's a shot clock violation to be had, or you run the damn clock out. Those are your only two options. Don't you ever shoot a damn ball when you're up 25 like that. Nevertheless, that's all that happened. Nothing physicality took place. No need for suspensions or anything. They didn't like the situation. No physical harm was done. So just move on. The Houston Crew is the number one team in the land. They thumped East Carolina over the weekend and to claim an outright American League title. It's a great job for the Houston Cougars. They're one of the top teams in the league since the beginning of the season. 27-2 overall, 15-1 in conference play. But as Kevin Sampson said, that was just the beginning. Now the real challenge begins. You have the American tournament coming up. And then you have the NCAA tournament coming up. With most likely Houston will be grabbing a number one seed, if not the number one overall seed. That will be between them and Alabama. Who gets the number one overall and who will get that second number one seed. How things are looking. So congratulations to the Houston Cougars, your outright American champions. As we continue, Ole Miss fires men's basketball coach Kermit Davis. I do understand this move. Mr. Davis finished his fifth season as the head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels. He had an overall record of 42-60. That doesn't cut it. He had one tournament appearance. That was his first year when they went 20. They went like 21 and like 10 that year, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna go look at my numbers just to be sure. Let's see. In his first season, they went 20-13 overall and 10-8 in the SEC. They earned the AC on Selection Sunday. That was his first season. So we're talking 5 years. We're going back to 2018. Since then, the Rebels have gone 22-47 in the SEC in the past 4 years. They entered the weekend 10-18, 2-13 in SEC play. That is the reason why Mr. Davis has been fired of his. We've been relieved of his duties as the Ole Miss head coach. And I can't blame him. Davis spent 16 seasons as the head coach at Middle Tennessee, where he went to 3 NCAA tournaments in his final 6 seasons. So that's how he got the head coaching job at Ole Miss. First year there, he got him to the tournament as an AC, and they haven't been back since. I can't blame Ole Miss for doing that because you thought you had something, but it just didn't work out. Potential candidates to replace Mr. Davis at Ole Miss include Florida Atlantic's Dusty May, North Texans Grant Skyline, and it could be mentioned that Mr. Chris Beard could be looked at to take place over the Ole Miss Rebels. So that is that for the men's side. Now let's recap the weekend, shall we? Let's begin what took place I want to say Friday, Saturday, whatever the case may be. Villanova upsets 19 Creighton, 79-67. Creighton did not need a loss like this towards the end of the season. So Creighton need to get it together. Speaking of a loss that need to take place, the Oklahoma Sooners walked in Ames, Iowa against 23rd ranked Iowa State, and they gave them the business 61-50. An upset road win for the Oklahoma Sooners. Iowa State didn't lead a loss like that towards the end part of the season. Sticking with the Big 12, 24 ranked TCU, they went to Lubbock, Texas to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and they came out with the 83-82 win in Lubbock, Texas. Shout out to TCU getting a big road win. Alabama, they took care of business despite what was talked about earlier. We have Brandon Miller. They took care of business against the Arkansas Razorbacks, 86-82 at home. The battle for Arizona was taking place at Tucson, Arizona, where the Wildcats ranked 7th in the country, but they got stunned at the buzzer by the arch rivals, the Sun Devils of Arizona State, 89-88, as the Sun Devils hit a 3/4 court buzzer beater to knock out the Wildcats. That's a devastating loss for the Wildcats and a big win for the Sun Devils because they are trying to get a tournament, and that might have got them in there. Continuing on, we had a top 10 showdown in the Big 12 down in Waco, Texas, with the 9th-ranked Baylor Bears hosting the 8th-ranked Texas Longhorns, and it started off good for Texas, but it ended well for Baylor. 81-72, Baylor Bears get the top 10 victory. Continue on from Waco, Texas, up to Stillwater, Oklahoma, where it's the 14th-ranked Kansas State Wildcats taking on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And the Oklahoma State Cowboys, they needed every type of win that they can get, but Kansas State was not having it. 73-68, Wildcats over the Cowboys. Let's head down to the SEC real quickly, as it was Mississippi State hosting 25th-ranked Texas A&M. Mississippi State on the bubble line trying to get a big win, and they got it. They knock off 25th-ranked Aggies 69-62, big win for them. A team who also needed a big win was the West Virginia Mountaineers. They was in Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas to take on a 3rd-ranked and defending champion Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas, they got everything they got from West Virginia, but Kansas would not be upset on this day. 77-74, Kansas survives the Mountaineers. Head to the ACC and down to Coral Gables, Florida, to see the Miami Hurricanes ranked 13th in the country taking on a in-state rivalry, the Florida State Seminoles, and that ended in a shocking buzzer beater as Florida State knock out Miami 85-84. Terrible. Just a terrible loss for the Hurricanes at home to their arch rivals. As we continue on, it was North Carolina, the preseason #1 favorite, fighting for the NCAA tournament lives as they are on the bubble. They are on the first 4 out line, according to Jordan Nardi. And they get their first quad 1 win of the season when they take down 6th-ranked Virginia Cavaliers 71-63. According to Jordan Hardy, they still got work to do, but this is a big step for them, for the North Carolina Tar Heels. They got work to do. North Carolina, good win. Heading back to the SEC, we're going to Rupp Arena, ladies and gentlemen. It was the Kentucky Wildcats hosting the Auburn Tigers, and John Calipari's team is starting to make that a run as they beat the brace off Bruce Pearl's Tigers 86-54. Ugh. The Auburn Tigers are struggling down the stretch. Did they do enough in the early part of the season to make the tournament? Because they starting to slide, and this slide is not going well for Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers. But Kentucky, I think they solidified themselves as the NCAA tournament, who they was on the bubble just a week ago. But with a 4-game winning streak, I think it's 4-game winning streak, I think they solidified their spot. Down to the Big Ten, we're going up to Indiana. It's the battle for Indiana when 17th-ranked Indiana Hoosiers took on The fifth ranked Purdue Boilermakers in West Lafayette in Indiana has swept the season series over their arch rivals, the Purdue Boilermakers, 79-71. Purdue, I don't know what it is. People want to say, people like saying Purdue is that team to beat. I don't see it. I'm not sold on Purdue. Indiana showed why I am not sold on Purdue. Down to the Pac-12, we had USC taking on Utah. Two teams who are on the bubble line. One team had got to get a good win. The other team gonna be in dire straits. It will be the Trojans of USC getting the big win, 62-49, putting the Utah using dire straits of making the postseason tournament. As we continue on a big weekend that was in college basketball, the Duke Blue Devils was hosting the Virginia Tech Hokies at Cameron Indoors, and Virginia Tech needed everyone they can get, and Duke was not handing them anything. 81-65, the Blue Devils stormed past the Hokies. Game of the week takes us to the West Coast Conference when it was Gonzaga, ranked 12th in the country, hosting 15th-ranked St. Mary's, who already beat the Gonzaga Bulldogs early in the season. Down in St. Mary's, and Gonzaga paid them back 77-68. Big win for the Bulldogs over the Gales of St. Mary's. To the Mountain West we go. 22nd, San Diego State Aztecs on the road to take on New Mexico State, who are on the bubble line. So New Mexico's looking for another win to help solidify their spot. They could not get it. 73-72 at the buzzer. San Diego State survives in New Mexico. And then you have BYU hosting San Francisco in the West Coast Conference, with both teams looking to pad their resume to make a tournament bid. But it'll be BYU dominating San Francisco 87-60. And then we go to what took place on yesterday. Maryland Terrapins hosting 21st ranked Northwestern Wildcats, and Maryland flexed their muscles throughout this game. 75-59 win over 21st ranked Wildcats. Down in the American Conference, the Memphis Tigers hosting the Cincinnati Bearcats, with Cincinnati Bearcats hoping to do some things to get into the tournament. Penny Hardaway and the Memphis Tigers want to have it at home. 76-73, big win for the Tigers. Bad loss for the Bearcats. Two teams in the Big Ten fighting for their postseason lives. It was the Wisconsin Badgers in the Big House in Ann Arbor, Michigan, to take on the Michigan Wolverines. Hunter Dickinson sends the game in overtime, and in overtime, it was all Michigan, 87-79. The big blue Wolverines take down the Badgers. In a game that Colorado could have shocked the world, and they had opportunities to do so, but they came on short when it counted most. UCLA goes into Colorado and comes out victorious, 60-56. And then the final recap game that we have for you, we had the Rutgers Scarlet Lights taking on the Penn State Nittany Lions, two teams who are fighting for their tournament lives. Penn State had a 19-point lead, but it evaporated before their eyes as Rutgers came back to beat the Nittany Lions 59-56 in Happy Valley, which turned into Sad Valley if you're a Nittany Lions fans. Some games to look forward to this upcoming week. Starting tonight, you have the Baylor Bears taking on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Oklahoma State needs this win at home to have a prayer of a chance to make the NCAA tournament. Also, West Virginia's in the same spot, but they are on the road to take on 23rd ranked Iowa State. They need this win to pad their resume. In the ACC, we're talking Clemson versus Virginia. Can Virginia make up for that bad loss that they took to North Carolina? Clemson, can they get a top 10 win to solidify their spot in the NCAA tournament? And then you have Iowa taking on Indiana. Iowa fighting for their lives with an amazing comeback win over Michigan State, by the way. That's amazing. Down 10 with a minute to go, and you come back and win that game. Very, very awesome. But now you are in Assembly Hall to take on 17th-ranked Indiana. Can you do the unthinkable and win at Assembly Hall? That was all today's game. Tomorrow, we starting off with Duke versus NC State. Duke looking strong. They looking better each and every game. NC State trying to get back right before the ACC tournament that's going into the NCAA tournament, which you'll see in Cameron Indoor at 7 p.m. ESPN. 9 p.m. ESPN tomorrow. Kansas is hosting Texas Tech. Can Texas Tech go into Allen Fieldhouse and get a much-needed upset win over the number 3 Kansas? We shall see. Also at 9 on ESPN2, we have the Arkansas Razorback host the Arkansas Razorback on the road in Knoxville to take on 11-ranked Tennessee. It's going to be interesting to see can Arkansas get a much-needed win versus a top 15 team on the road to get them into the tournament. And then also at 9 on CBS Sports Network, 22nd ranked San Diego State playing are in Boise, Idaho to take on the Boise State Broncos. To begin the month of March, we have a top 25 showdown in the Big East with Xavier taking on Providence with the Flyers at home. That is 6:30 p.m. on FS1. On ESPN2 at 7 p.m., we have the Iron Bowl in basketball when Auburn is in Tuscaloosa to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. At 9 p.m. on ESPN2, after the Iron Bowl, we have the Texas Longhorns ranked 8th in the nation. They are facing off against the Horned Frogs of TCU ranked 24th. And then on the Big Ten Network, Northwestern returns home. Can they make up for that loss that they took to Maryland as Penn State is looking to come in and pad their resume to get a NCAA tournament bid? Here's are your bubble teams as of right now. As we look at it, this will probably be updated sometime today or tomorrow from Jordanati, but as of right now, your last 4 buys is Pittsburgh, Nevada, Memphis, and West Virginia. Your last 4 in is Oklahoma State, USC, Wisconsin, and Mississippi State. First 4 out, Penn State, Utah State, North Carolina, Charleston. Next 4 out, Texas Tech, Clemson, Michigan, and New Mexico State. Like I said, this came out on Saturday. I'm pretty sure this will be updated between today and tomorrow with the new switch arounds that's going to happen. So I won't pay too much attention to this, but this is where we at right now.